Welcome back, everybody. Today we're stepping away again from the Cooler Master Stacker project, and we're moving on to something that I really have wanted to get done for a long time. I'm also sorry this video took a little longer to get to you. Besides doing the work, I also ran into some technical issues, which we'll get into later in this video and into the next video. But I've also was really sick. Some kind of a flu or something really knocked me on my ass. So this video isn't as good as I wanted it to be, but it's hopefully good enough to let you know what we're working on. So as you can see, we've got a bare wall. I stripped it right down to the studs, and I'm building a new backdrop for my videos. I've gone with some economical choices here, such as flooring. This is a composite flooring. It was some that I found at one of the local stores that was really good price, and there was some damaged pieces, but I was able to get more than enough to do the project. So I picked something that had a really nice simulated wood grain to it, and here I am starting the process of installing it. First row was really easy. All I had to do was cut off one end a little bit to make it fit. But right now, as you can see, I'm struggling to get it to lock together. I kind of jumped ahead in the video here. I didn't record a lot of it, but I had finally discovered that you had to put together each row and then tip it into place in order for it to all fit together properly. At this point, we're just rebuilding where I had a pass-through in the wall. So I'm putting in some new 2x4s to frame it out so that I have something to back the planking that I'm putting up. There you can see where I'm locking it all together, and then once it's all together, I tip it in as one solid piece. I had hoped to originally be able to nail it on the tongues of each piece, but it didn't work. So I went to a smaller finishing nail and then just nailed it right through the face of the plank, which in most of the camera shots that I've looked at, I can't see the nails, and I'm planning on going back and filling it later on. Right now, I'm just preparing to install the electrical box for the light switch. It's a minimal wiring in this wall. This is really the only thing that I've planned on putting into the paneling or cutting into the paneling. So I basically just installed it right where there was a joint between two of the planks. Made it a lot easier. I only really had to trim one a little bit and then cut the hole in the other piece that's going over top of it. It's pretty basic tools for this. I'm using a little miter saw for cutting the planks. I'm using a small air compressor. Right there I'm using a plug-in jigsaw. I'm just using a 16 gauge finishing nail gun and 1.25 inch finishing nails. There we've got the hole for the box cut, and we're installing the box. Once I knew how to do it, it went fairly smoothly and fairly easily. You can see on the edges of some of the planks near the bottom that it was damaged, but I used them anyway. And they're very hard to see, and they won't be visible in the videos that I shoot in front of this, so I'm not too worried about that. There, now we can do the final install of the electrical box. It's a bit bittersweet, this project, because on the other side of that little wall is literally a 5-foot by 10-foot room. It was a special little room that I built when I first purchased this house, and that was my gaming area. It was soundproofed. It had LED lighting strips in it. I used to run 2 systems, Plus I had a little TV and a cable box in there. It was my little oasis. I worked shift work, and when I was working nights for 2 weeks, I would even stay up during the night on my days off. So, but that room's basically just storage now. The pass-through is needed because of all the heat that would get generated sometimes. I needed some way to get more airflow into it. It was ducted and had air conditioning, but yeah, 2 computers and a TV and a cable box and all the other stuff I had in there, it could get pretty warm. There I was just taking down some cardboard and plywood that I had nailed up because the cats used to love climbing up inside the wall. And if you watch really closely during this, I didn't even notice him most of the time, but the little orange cat Elfie would sneak in and then get up on top of that duct at the very top of the picture. And he would just sit there and hang out and watch. And then all of a sudden you'd have this orange furball come flying down out of there. As you can tell by this stage, I've got pretty used to working with the planks, so it doesn't take me very long to get a row done. Each row only consists of 2 planks anyway, and I only did half a board cut on every second row just to offset the joints. Yeah, this is where I made one little boo-boo where I'd nailed it up, but it wasn't completely in place. I actually had to peel it apart again and then replace one of the boards that I used. But all in all, it worked out pretty good. I wasn't concerned about getting it to fit perfectly with the ceiling. So a little bit of a gap really didn't bother me. This last little plank that I have to put up, I have a piece of flexible wire conduit coming out of the wall there, and that's to allow a pass-through into the other room, into a cabinet there. So I wanted to keep that available, so I wanted to notch the last plank so that I could leave that conduit pipe sticking out. There we go. You'll have to excuse me, I get a little oblivious. Every once in a while there's a George Billy hanging out. So there we go, there's our first look at the planks on the wall. So yeah, I'm just kind of giving it a bit of a test. Yes, the camera's not working very good right now, a little fuzzy, a little out of focus, but next step's going to be moving on to some lighting. Was at this point I realized this is the perfect time for me to do a mug shot for you. There we go. Wanted. I'm really happy with the look of the wood grain. So yeah, as you can tell by the glare on my head, it's time to start working on a lighting solution. Primarily, this is what I wanted to use, just some simple rail lighting. Hampton Bay from Home Depot. I've never really worked with this stuff before, so there was definitely some things that I ran into. Whereas if I'd worked with it before, I would have known about it and been paying or not making the mistakes that I made. So yeah, right now I'm just putting in some blocking between the floor joists. That's going to give me a place to mount the rails to. The lights on the rails are very adjustable, so it doesn't have to be perfectly lined up, but we did some measuring and double checking and some test fits just to make sure that we got good coverage with the lights. Sadly, what I'm showing you right now had to be redone because there's the contactors for the lights. There's two contactors on one side and one on the other. And to use the connector piece for attaching the wiring, I had to actually take the rails down and flip them end for end. I decided that I wasn't going to permanently do the wiring for this, and that's why I chose the connector piece that I did. I wanted to use one of those because it was easy to basically just go with a lamp cord. See, here I'm just screwing the lamp cord together. It doesn't have to be weatherproof or vapor proof, so we're just using plastic wire clamps. It's only 3 connectors, you know, your ground, power, neutral. Yeah, we're zipping through this for time. All these things are fairly simple to do. It doesn't take a lot of experience. There you go, and it just simply pops in, and it has a plug-in on the other end. Here's these are horrible, and we're going to go into detail about these. These were the absolute worst experience to work with. This is the first problem. They're supposed to match the halogen bulbs that would be used normally in these lights, but they don't. They would not fit into the lights. So here I had to remove the caps off the lights. Now normally you would be able to reinstall these over top of the light bulb, but these are not the same size as the GU10 halogen bulbs. So I was not able to replace the caps. But once those little things were taken off, no problem. You could slot them right in. These weren't supposed to be visible, so I was willing to tolerate that. It wasn't the end of the world, but it still frustrates me when companies claim something that ends up not being true at all. Now, the next video is going to be more about the lighting and the nightmare that I went through trying to make the LED smart lights work. As standard halogen bulbs, or bulbs, they work. Here you can see I actually had to take it apart and redo the coupler. It felt like it was attached underneath the cover, but it wasn't, so I had to take it apart and actually put it together properly. There we go. There. Everything's lighting up the way it's supposed to. But this is actually the easy part. In the next video, we're going to talk more about the nightmare, like I've said, that this turned into. Because every one of these Philips bulbs and accessories that I bought to go with them, I'm returning them. And we'll go into that with more detail in the next video. So with that, we're going to end the video. Please subscribe, give us a like if you like it, give us a dislike if you didn't. And I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Thanks for watching. This is George, and we'll catch you in the next video.